Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Reddit Aliens. I'm John, and as always, thank you so much for being here. A good topic. I think we've all been through it. Let's do it. What traumatized you as a kid with unlimited internet access? Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with horses. There was this website I used to visit that was for people who loved horses. One time I made the mistake of typing .com instead of .net. Horselovers.com was for people who really loved horses. Scarred for life. I went on 4chan when I was like 13 and clicked a link to a live stream where a dude shot himself through the mouth with a crossbow using his feet to pull the trigger. He survived the first few minutes. Never went back on that site again. That's when I learned I wasn't an edgelord. Omegle in my early teens with my cousin. We came across someone who looked like they had hung themselves on camera. Still talk about it to this day. We were traumatized. A cartel execution. It wasn't a simple beheading. There was like 4 or 5 cartel members hacking away at a lady for a good 30 seconds. The video was extremely blurry, thank goodness, but what had shocked me the most were the screams. I don't know what I was trying to prove. There was that Chechen guy captured while enemies stood on his head with their boot. Then they stick a knife in his throat. The sound that he made will stick with me forever. I used Deviant Art from the ages of 12 to 14. I remember getting a note from someone who was threatening to send people from the dark web after me to kill an army and my family if I didn't join a Skype video call with them. I just left it on red and hoped they weren't being for real. They weren't, but it scared the f*** out of me. It was an old ASPCA video about protecting animals, and in it, they showed graphic photos of animal abuse to really nail home the point. I was like 10, and the image of a trash can filled with cats and kittens really messed me up, and I sobbed for like an hour or so. I got a Gore Link from a Kick where this dude sent me a promo to a snuff film. It was beyond and creepy. There were these 2 women that were lying on 2 separate tables with IVs going into their arms. They had their eyes open but didn't move as a dude slowly dismembered them and disemboweled them. I was like 14, and the images still stick with me. Somehow I found a video of a young man hanging himself in his room. Apparently it had been a live feed during an incident and ran for about 25 minutes before police and paramedics came to save him. But the man was long gone by then. He had been depressed for many years and posted on a Swedish forum with the question of how long to hang himself before doing it for real. I still get shivers down my spine whenever I think of it. I didn't have internet when I was a kid, unless you count ASC2 porn over BBS. By the time AOL went unlimited, I was an adult. Nothing traumatized me after that because I had an interesting life up to that point. My oldest son stumbled upon some hardcore porn when he was 8 or so. That took a lot of efforts to rectify. In hindsight, I could have handled his access better. Oh man, the rabbit holes I went down. Definitely stumbled upon some dark stuff way too young. Saw creepy images, heard disturbing stories, and of course the early days of the internet trolling were brutal. It's wild how much access to everything a kid can have now. The case of Junko. I read every gory, awful, heartbreaking detail at the age of 15, and I still get shivers down my spine when I think of it. Pretty extreme impact play videos, cartel execution videos, no shortage of advanced made on me by pervs on IRC and early chat rooms. My parents were early adopters of tech, so I was online before there was a World Wide Web as we currently understand it. It's amazing there's any vanilla left in my current set of proclivities. I don't know if it counts as traumatizing, but I stumbled across an article late one sleepless night that helped me start breaking out of the conservative mindset I was being raised in. I don't remember many details, and what I do remember is fuzzy, but I found an article about an older lesbian couple. One was dying in the hospital, and the other couldn't be with her family-only situation, and since neither family approved of the relationship, they had no way to communicate with each other. They'd been together for decades, but because marriage equality wasn't a thing at the time, there was no legal way to be together during that time. It broke through to me. It broke through all the talking points I'd been exposed to and showed me the real people dealing with the real consequences of something out of their control. It showed me the awful legal side of why it was so important. I was around 14 and trying to imagine spending my lifetime with someone I loved, but not being able to see them if something terrible happened. It took a massive chunk of the conservative mindset out of me. It made me start to wonder what would happen if other X, Y, and Z became laws. I don't remember their names, but I will forever be grateful to those ladies and many others who shared their stories online. Their stories broke my heart and allowed me to rebuild myself into someone who believes in love above all else. Now, I don't think this is the same story, but if you're interested in topics like this and have a compassionate mind and heart, there was a movie in 2015 with Julianne Moore, Steve Carell, and other actors called Freeheld. It's based on a true story of a lesbian couple, and the woman in the relationship was a police officer, and she passed away, and her partner was not allowed access to her pension fund, even though they'd been together for a long time. And then it was her legal battle with in New Jersey, with the county in New Jersey to get the fund. So if you'd like to learn more about that, first of all, it's an excellent film, and there you go. So Freeheld, Julianne Moore. I think it came out in 2015 or 16 or something. Deviant Art and other weird sites that had fetish stuff frequently on there. I was like 6 and found out what vor, inflation, GM gore, unbirth, macrophilia, etc. And a big problem was that many of the people who drew that shit literally didn't care what they were drawing and blatantly drew children and animals in their work. YouTube wasn't safe from it either. Kyphoria, for example. I feel a lot of people forget just how rude, vulgar, and sexual the internet was at one point. And the amount of gore wasn't fun either. This didn't traumatize me, but there used to be public chat rooms on Yahoo for older men who liked 0 to 5-year-olds, 5 to 10-year-olds, and 10 to 15-year-olds. It was like separated by age group. I used to go on there when I was 15 and webcam for people for things on my Amazon wish list. How those chat rooms stayed on there for as long as they did is beyond me. Absolutely crazy. As a kid with unrestricted internet access, one of the most traumatizing experiences was accidentally discovering disturbing urban legends and graphic content like the infamous Red Rooms or videos of real-life accidents and violence. I didn't know how to avoid that kind of stuff back then, and it left a lasting impact. The idea that there were parts of the internet that I wasn't supposed to see but could easily stumble upon felt like a violation, and it made me hyper-aware of how little control you have online. It's something that once seen doesn't easily fade away. As a child who willingly liked to expose themselves from an extremely young age, looking back, honestly, it has to be the amount of pedophiles I came in contact with. I did a lot of things that I really shouldn't have been doing, starting from a very, very young age, and hold no regrets about it. My therapist, well, there's one, encourages that I view it as trauma, while I view it as knowing damn well what I was doing. Maybe my therapist is right, but I accept the fact that I have a way of accepting things. There was a blog in the early days of the internet by a woman who claimed to be in a BDSM relationship with her husband. She was the sub, and they would post extremely graphic photos of the hardcore torture inflicted upon her, and along with keeping a diary of sorts. It turned out that he was actually abusive and was forcing her to do all these things against her will. He was the one running the website the entire time. Years later, it was revealed that she eventually shot and killed him. She was known as Delia Day.